Okay.
I just want to say, thanks for being on the show.
Okay.
Blah, blah. Let's do it. So blah, blah, blah. And then I'll remove myself again, and you can play. You're going to do a new language?
Yeah.
Say it again.
That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I like that song a lot. Good. Well, thank you very much, Emily and Al, for being on the program tonight.
Thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
I wish you the best of luck with your new recording projects. And
Well, thanks.
It's mostly luck, so thanks a lot.
Always recording.
we're
seems
always
like.
anxious up here to hear your new stuff. So I hope you send
Okay.
something our way soon, and get a chance to vacation back at your part-time Montana home real soon as well.
We want to do that. We want to be in Montana as much as we can.
Thanks again for being on the show, the Cantrells.
I've been thinking and dreaming of a new language.
Fade de chartreuse.
Not a lot goes on.
I will just do a very brief 10-second kind of welcome to the show on the program tonight. Stewart Weber.
I'm rolling tape.
Okay.
Oops.
Good evening. This is Michael Marsolek. Welcome to Musician Spotlight. Tonight in the program, Stewart Weber.
That's the orchard.
Okay. I think what I'll do is I'll just come back a little bit here, Carrie.
Okay.
Which will be, is this better?
Yeah, that is better.
Yeah, and if you feel like playing anything while we talk, something.
Get your headphones on.
That's fine. You know, if you feel
Alright.
playing something.
Okay, good.
I also may mention the kickoff concert, which is
Have been postdated.
happened a month
yeah,
ago. So,
Right.
It may just be nothing more.
I'll
than
say how much I enjoyed playing it.
right. You gotta love these taped programs. Okay. I'm ready if you are. Rolling there. Are we rolling in there? I can't see you at all. I assume that we
He's
are.
rolling. Go.
Okay. Stewart Weber, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, it's a great pleasure to be here.
You're no stranger to public radio. We've been had an opportunity to hear a lot of your music being played on some different programs on KUFM and KGPR, and that's a nice addition. You also were involved with our kickoff concert, and we certainly enjoyed that. It was nice to have you here for that.
Well, it's a great addition to be playing on the radio. It's wonderful.
Yes, great. I wanted to have you tell me a little bit. Now, you are actually one of the true Montana natives. Is this correct?
Well, that is correct. The story goes, I've lived here. I haven't lived here all my life, but I probably will.
That's great.
Yeah. That piece you just heard, The Orchard, is actually written about a place in the Bitterroot Valley, what's referred to as the rain shadow of Lolo Peak. It's just south of Lolo, and there's a little orchard that's probably 100+ years old there, and I was around that area for a while, so I wrote this little piece for that.
That's wonderful. And your latest recording, Hired Man's Dream, you've done some things with painting some different pictures of Montana, and I really love the way that you've been able to really portray a different feel on these different places that you've been. And I imagine living where you do and where we do in Montana has been a real influence on your playing. And maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think it's important to find out what is influencing your work and your art, and sometimes it's hard to put your finger on it. For me, I realized finally that I'm influenced by my surroundings like everybody else is. And what I write about and what I know about is this area in Montana and the people in it.
It's a wonderful thing to be able to do, to paint these musical portraits of a wonderful landscape. I think
It's a wonderful landscape. That's certainly true.
yes.
And I hope as I get older, I get more and more proficient at painting those landscapes.
Right. Tell me a little bit about your classical training. I know that in other recordings that you've recorded some traditional classical music, and you've got that certainly is your background to a certain extent. You've been doing some really kind of unique. How do you word it? Original classical compositions or something along those lines. But it's a neat thing. And how does that classical training that you have on the guitar affect your songwriting? And maybe talk a little bit about your classical history as well.
Well, I think I was drawn to classical music through the guitar, and I loved the guitar so much as a child. But I had no idea back then that classical music could really be placed on the guitar. I didn't make the connection, and it wasn't until really I met the guitarist Christopher Parkening, and I loved the way he played the guitar, and I also loved the repertoire that he introduced to me simply by showing me the thrill of playing classical music on the guitar. You really opened up, just valleys and valleys of repertoire. You could play it forever. And so I took a little break from my own writing, studied with Parkening for a few years, hoping to establish more of a classical technique in my own playing, and then I wanted to come back and use that in my writing. It just so happens that's exactly how it's turned out. Now I'm writing again with more of a classical devotion to the technique and the tradition.
Did your introduction to classical music on the guitar increase your love of classical music, or have you always been a classical music fan, perhaps in more of a symphonic form?
Well, I do love classical music, but it would be unfair to say I love classical music in general. I guess there probably is 15 or 20% of that stuff that I just love, and the rest of it, it's just going on.
All right.
Then I hear pieces that I would say, well, that'd be really nice on the guitar. And that would be a great one. And that's how a lot of the guitar repertoire has been formed, as people have taken the classics, transcribed them for the instrument, and it's been part of the repertoire.
Right.
So, and those composers were writing about their environments. For the most part, they were all interested in what was happening around them. So I'm hoping to just carry on this tradition that maybe has started, well, as far back as the Baroque era, but also the French Romantics were always writing about their environments, La Mer, the ocean.
Yes.
And so that's what I hope to keep doing.
You live near Belgrade or near Bozeman, in the Bozeman area?
Yeah, between the two, actually, on the west slopes of the Bridger Mountains.
That's great.
Yeah.
Are there particular areas close to home that you've written songs about, or are you one to travel the state of Montana in search of wonderful places to try to paint a musical portrait of?
Well, there are more wonderful places than there are days to work on it. But yes, I am working on things in my area. Right now I'm trying to work on a piece that mixes not only the idea of capturing the rhythms of a river, but also capturing an event in history on the river. And it's kind of an experiment I'm doing. I'm trying to document a period in 1877 when flatboats, which were normally sending hides down the Yellowstone, were employed to carry Indians, generally older men and women, from the Nez Perce tribe after they had been so brutally defeated. And there's something in that I'm really curious about writing. I've come up with themes that are more trying to catch the native feel. On one hand, at the same time I want to catch the river, so I think river music is obviously descending, unless you're working hard. And some of the majestic feeling of that a nation of people, too. And as a time period, to try and get some time into it, to place it in history, I was trying to add somewhat of a fiddle tune that may have been something like this, may have been played around campfires on the river at that
That's really nice.
Thank you. I'm anxious to finish that one.
Yeah. What projects do you have coming up in addition to this piece? Is this going to be part of another compilation? Are you going to do some another all-original CD, or are you going to do some more classics on this next recording? Or?
I plan to spend the summer writing a lot of music for a future recording sometime, but as it turns out, I've been engaged to play a concerto with the Elkhorn Symphony this summer, the Rodrigo Concerto, and when I said yes, I also realized I didn't know a note of it, so I think my summer is spoken for in studying Rodrigo.
Yes. That sounds really great.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like you could just about justify to everyone backpacking all over the place and spending a lot of time outdoors and chalk it up to research. Right?
Yeah, most of my fishing trips are a tax write-off.
Yeah, that's great. That's one of the wonderful things about living in Montana, I think, too, that to have that kind of freedom, it's really nice. So.
Well, Montana is one of the inspirations. I also feel like other composers are inspirations as well.
Yeah. Who is your biggest influence, or some of the people that you're infatuated with, perhaps, at this time?
Well, it changes pretty radically, generally, depending on which piece I'm playing and who's it by. But lately, I've been really intrigued with this piece by Bach that was originally written for the violin. It's from a violin partita number 2. And in violin and guitar worlds, it's probably quite famous. It's called the Chaconne. There's just so much music there. I'm almost tempted to say that it may be the best piece of music ever written.
Wow.
In 1934, Segovia transcribed it for the guitar, and I really love it. And I think players who really are interested in developing their own technique on the guitar would be foolish to overlook Bach, just for the discipline in it.
Yeah, I had some wonderful times listening to some of Christopher Parkening's playing of Bach in the past years, and that's always been really wonderful. Yeah, the Bach transcribes wonderfully to guitar in some of those pieces. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, it really does. I would like to have a crack at this violin partita, the Chaconne, right here. if I can get through it. It's a rather difficult piece, but we should give it a try anyway.
Great, I like that. I wanted to ask one other thing about. Are you playing many live performances these days? Are you doing concerts? I know we got to hear you in Missoula, and what does your calendar look like for?
Well, it's a wonderful calendar, really, because I'm starting to open up into markets that I never dreamed I would be playing in before, and getting calls from areas that I didn't think I would be at. The conductor from San Francisco called and engaged me to play this concerto at the Elkhorn Festival, and that just shocked me a great deal. So I'm starting to get out of Montana to play quite a bit, and that's good. I'd like to take the snapshots I've written of the state, to the East Coast, the West Coast.
Well, I hope you can do that. Well, how about playing some more music for us?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll pause.